Hi, welcome to Business Influencers. I'm your host, Chris Salem. If this is your first time here at the Business Influencers show, welcome. We hope you're getting a lot of value by watching some of the other podcasts here on the TALRadio platform. We've been around now for almost over 4 years. It's hard to believe it's been that long, but we want to thank all the loyal listeners that have been with us since day one, that we are committed to you personally, your team, and business, and how you can raise your level of influence to create more impact, provide more value, and of course, generate more revenue and profit in your business. Again, if there's anything that you would like to see on a future show here at Business Influencers, feel free to reach out to our team here at Christophersalem.com, and we'd be more than happy to see about what we can do to accommodate a subject matter expert to cover that content for a future show. Today's show is being brought to you today by Alumni Direct. Alumni Direct is a new social media community platform dedicated to providing, connecting you to people that you went to school with in the past, perhaps maybe a fraternity, maybe perhaps that you belong to a certain group and you just haven't connected in a long time. This is an opportunity now to reconnect with people that you haven't seen in quite some time, and to foster better relationships than you ever had before. If you'd like some more information about Alumni Direct, check them out at alumnidirect.com. That's alumnidirect.com. Well, we got a great show planned for you today. I am so excited. We're going to be talking about why do personal branding. So why, whether if you are an entrepreneur, a business leader, or you're running a group in a corporation, it does not matter. No matter where you are in your career or your business, having a personal brand is important. Well, you're going to find out today why that is so important and where it could be leaving money on the table if you're not putting effort in that area. We're going to be talking with Rick Yvanovich. He's the founder and CEO of a company, TRG International. Rick's a serial entrepreneur, techie, Brit, baby boomer, and professional bean counter, hence the FCMA, CGMA, and FCPA. He has worked for 40 plus years in supermarkets, accounting profession, breweries, news agents, defense manufacturing, IT, property development, and BP in the UK, China, Singapore, Switzerland, and Vietnam. He posted to BP China as a finance manager, then relocated to BP Vietnam in 1990, making him likely the longest Brit and one of the most seasoned expats in Vietnam. I've heard such great things about Vietnam and, of course, living there. And hopefully you might share some insights to that as well here. Now, Rick has a host of different accolades, and we're going to have those all covered in the show notes. So we encourage you to reach out to Rick after conclusion of today's show, because he'll bring so much value. And without further ado, we welcome Rick Yvanovich to the show. Rick, how you doing today?
I'm doing real good, and thanks for having me, Chris. And what a lovely and rather long introduction about me. It makes me feel old or something. But before we start and really get into it,
I'm almost about the same. I'm up there. Believe me. I'm an older Gen X.
Okay. Well, we won't go into that. Let's not have a competition about that. Okay. But before we really get into it, and you start peppering me with your questions, I'd like to share a core belief that I hold dear. We all have the potential to be architects of change. In a world where we all happen to live in, it's just constant transformation, isn't it? It's our task isn't just to keep up, it's to shape the path forward. Every day our actions, whether they're big or whether they're small, they shape our future. And as we discuss stuff today, Chris, I want everybody listening to remember this. You are your brand, and every decision you make is part of the unique story you are crafting. How you react, how you adapt, and how you innovate will define your story and your legacy. So as we dive into our conversation today, let's not just think about adapting to change, but about how we can define it, as we're not just participants, we're catalysts in this ever-changing business as unusual world. So let's get started, Chris.
Yes, please do it. Let's talk about change because you mentioned adapting. I'm a big fan of adapting to what is, not necessarily always what we think it should be. That allows us to embrace the process, not resist it because we only see it the way we see it. But talk about change. Change is inevitable. It's going to happen with or without you. I think that's going to be very important. I would take in how we define our brand and how we show up each and every day.
Absolutely. I mean, the key thing about change is it's going to hit you whether you like it or not. I mean, the rate of change that's going on in the world is just seems to be accelerating. And just after we might have, comprehended and got over one shock, whatever that shock is, there's going to be another thing right around the corner or the following day. So we really, really, really need to change ourselves and avoid that reactiveness. This has happened, so what do we do? What do we do? And design basically our own playbook. What are we going to do? What direction are we going to go in? And we have a very clear plan of where we are going, and we avoid having these unusual events that are happening derail us from the direction that we're going. So sometimes all this stuff that's happening, we sort of, might get caught up. I won't call it a panic. Get caught up in a bit of a tailspin because what about this? What about this? What about this? Before we know it, we're dealing with this stuff that's just erupted today or this week. Like, hello, we're supposed to be going over there. What are we? Why are we playing over here? And again, in the corporate world, depending on how strong the other corporate voices are and where you are in your organization, there can be an awful lot of noise and an awful lot of distraction. And this is why I talk about being an architect of change. We're no longer going to resist change. We're going to try to shape it. Okay, these things have just happened. How is that going to help us get closer to where we were going to in the first place?
I love what you just said, Rick, is especially even in the corporate space, why this is so important, because I find that a lot of people, they resist change because it's fearful. There's uncertainty. They don't know what's going to happen. They're afraid that it might expose them. It may be weaknesses. But nonetheless, it's the people that can show up and embrace it and now be the example of it and be resourceful to encourage and empower others to do the same. And that, I'd say that's the greatest personal brand that you can possibly be, in that case. So I'd love to hear your insights to that.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you there. I mean, as humans, we are resistant to change. We like staying in our little comfort zones. But I think the whole planet has learned since COVID that things can happen and there is no playbook. I keep going back again and again and again to COVID because I think, in my lifetime, it's the biggest thing that's happened that really has shaken up the planet. And maybe we won't go into, how we are supposed to work these days. There's still discussions going on. Are we supposed to be in the office? Are we not supposed to be in the office? How many days are we supposed to be in or not in the office? I mean, that'll keep everybody happy for years to come. But it was during the pandemic that I actually wrote the book, Business as Unusual. And my sort of segue into that is because during the pandemic, since it was so disruptive, and people, I felt, were running around like headless chickens, some people. And I kept hearing in the business communities that I was part of is, when this is over and we get back to business as usual. And that wound me up a lot. Hence the title, Business as Unusual. And in the last 5 years, I mean, every single year, there's some crazy new stuff happening in the world, right? So what's that got to do for us as individuals? Well, I'd still say that this COVID thing is a real page turner in history. Pre-pandemic, I'd say that maybe too many of us were signed up to, you get up early in the morning, you commute to work, you go to that office building, you find your little cube, you sit down there and you jump on that hamster wheel and you pay the mortgage, that's life. And then COVID comes along, and what happens? Well, that hamster wheel got thrown away, your cube got thrown away, and for many people, so did the office, and for other people, unfortunately, so did the company. Everything absolutely collapsed. And for some years, people learned to work and exist in another way. And because they did, their whole, you can call it the indoctrination, of how we were taught how we should work and how we should operate, it's all thrown out the window. Because some people realized, I actually like working from home. I got kids, I can bring them to school, I can have lunch with them, I can actually have some home time, and I ignore the commute and I save all this money and I actually get more work done. So for some people, they really leaned into it and they loved it. Other people said, I absolutely hate this. I can't wait to get back into the office and have my chats with my friends and whatever. There's no right or wrong way. We're humans, we're all unique, and we all like different things. This great reshuffle and all that kind of stuff, whatever word you want to call it, to me is just a demonstration of the fact that people realize that the way that they used to be working, they don't like it anymore, and they're voting with their feet. Some of them are still voting and they're still searching, they're still job hopping in search of what they want, which is very, very sad, really, because they're not happy. So again, what's this got to do about us? And you mentioned before, you introduced us, we're talking about branding. Well, I think I'll say for myself, maybe you are like me, for too long, I was taught at a very, very a young age that the only thing that will remain with me for my life is my career. Okay, so I've always been dictated by my job title. What I do, is who I am. All right, and when I was working for corporate, you want to go up the ladder, don't you? And when I actually left corporate, I literally went from being, in a very senior position to, always going out networking and being invited for stuff and speaking on stuff to, why's the phone not ringing? And everything sort of stopped. And it's because my job title got thrown away, and who the hell is Rick? Okay, that was when I first retired. What was that, 30 years ago? That failed, didn't it? And I started up my company, and great, I've got another job title now because I'm the founder and CEO of another company, which is very successful. But that's not the point. The point is that who's me? That's a company, and we do certain things, but who am I really? Okay, and that personal brand is very, very important, and I only realized that post-COVID. So in less than only about last 2 or 3 years has actually clicked that I need to brand myself. Now, I might have been doing it unconsciously and being the face of the company, as so many of the listeners are, they are the face of the companies or a face of the company they work for. But is that how you really want to be defined? Is that who you really want to be? Or do you stand for something else? So I was fortunate, I attended a conference, and one of the sessions was all about personal branding. And it really doesn't matter who you are in the organization, although this lady, Brenda Bentz, who's brilliant at this, was really there for branding executives, and why it's so important. Not just important within the corporate space, because if you brand yourself well, of course, you're going to rise up faster in the corporate space as well, aren't you? Okay, but it's also, well, what about those people who've hit middle-age crisis, or who got ejected from corporate during the pandemic, or have just decided, well, I don't want this anymore. I want to step away from corporate. Maybe, I'm coming up for retirement, or whatever reason, I just don't want to work like that anymore. What am I going to do when I stop working like that, and I now just want to be me? So for me, I am a coach, I am an author, I do training, I do all sorts of other things. So although I have a company, I'm still the face of the company. I've realized that I'm the company's worst enemy because I am not, unfortunately, immortal. Okay, I may want to live a long time, but when I started the company more than 30 years ago, everybody was young. Even I was young. Now I'm hiring Generation Z. Within the next 18 months, there will be more than 50% of the organization, and I'm old enough to be, well, even older than their parents.
Exactly. It could be like they were grandparents, right?
Yeah. And so, like, where's the longevity of the organization when I decide to put my feet up or get hit by the proverbial truck? Okay. So for sustainability, the company needs to brand itself, but that means I need to remove my own branding. I think I felt as an entrepreneur to sort of strip my own branding away from my own company piece by piece and have nothing else. I don't like that very much. So I have my own website now, and I brand myself. So I sort of wear two hats. Myself as, this is me, head of this company, this is what I do, and I do all that corporate speak, or this is me in another way, and I don't actually even mention the company that I work for or that I own.
Wow. Yeah, and I think that's so important. Like, you got to have a personal brand because, and the business brand, they got to be separate. Just like, because if they can complement each other, or sometimes it can hinder, because if, like you said, if you are the company brand, then it doesn't have as much value when you leave, because you were the brand, and now if you're not there, guess what? It doesn't have legs to stand on. So but if you have a brand and the company has a brand, well, that's great. That can complement, because as you transition out, the company can continue to go on and it's got value and so on. So I think that's really valuable what you shared there, Rick. Yeah.
In addition to that, if you look at, you said you were Gen X. I'm a baby boomer. If we look at maybe even younger generations, even younger than you.
I was born in '67, so I'm an older Gen X. I'm near baby, but I'm very close.
I know, I'm teasing. So Generation Z or even Generation Alpha, who are speaking like a different language.
They're coming up. They're going to be the next one out in the workforce there.
I mean, those generations are not just looking at who this person is in corporate. Like, they're more looking like, who is this person? Okay, so going back to branding and going back to this wonderful coach lady, Brenda Bentz, she wrote this book, would you want to work for you? Which is really about, as an executive, why are people following you? Why would they want to do that? So if you haven't built up a very strong brand for yourself, if you're not sort of stand out like that, well, that's maybe why nobody's following you. Just because you've got a big job title, that might force people to do things, but do they really want to do it? Nah. Okay, so why would they be doing that? And so that's one aspect. You can say that's a corporate aspect. But there's the other one, and this goes on to, it's linked to coaching, and it's linked to emotional intelligence, and it's really linked to self-awareness, and that's really leading yourself. Okay, again, it's from Brenda. It's leading yourself, and it's really the power of self-leadership, because we all know that if you are at the top or near the top of an organization, it's a pretty lonely place. Okay, especially if it's your own organization. So if you've got any entrepreneurs are listening in, and it's them. They are it. In times of trouble, if they want to bounce ideas, they have to talk to themselves. So they really have to lead themselves. And again, it's more of that self-awareness, that's the emotional intelligence, and having to lead ourselves, not just doing things because we think that they need to be done, but reframing things as, right, how are my actions really being viewed by the team, by all the stakeholders, and if I stepped out of myself, like, would I even follow myself? Am I talking a load of garbage going in a stupid direction? Or, is there some really solid thought and clarity of what's going on there? So I think this is all linked to brand building, because to have a very, very strong, effective brand as an individual, you've got to walk the talk. You are the ambassador of your own brand. And whether you like it or not, everyone is watching your every move.
So true. They whether if they know it consciously or subconsciously, they're observing your communication, your behavior, your attitude, your emotions, and how you respond versus react to situations and people, and then your action, and all of that. Is that in an alignment, or do they contradict each other? And that's what I think a great personal brand is: very aware, transparent, and everything that you shared here with us on this episode here today.
The challenge, and unfortunately, it's a work in progress permanently.
Oh, it is. Oh, there's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. No, Rick, this has been really enlightening. We're looking forward to having you on another show I do in the future, and we'll discuss that where we can go more into length. This show is usually about close to a half an hour in length. Before I want to make sure the audience gets to know you better. How they can reach out to you. What are you up to when it's around this particular topic, and anything you like to provide the audience or leave the audience in terms of taking action. And before we do that, I want to thank you personally from me and the team here at TALRadio for Touch of Life Foundation. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to be with us here today.
Thank you, Chris. Now, if people want to get hold of me or find out more about me, like really find out the sort of dirty truth, Google my name, Rick Yvanovich. It's an unusual name because apparently, according to Google, I'm the only person on the planet with that name. I would say that I would have brilliant SEO, but it's cheating if I'm the only one.
You have to spend a lot of money for that for your brand, yeah. There's a lot of Ricks, but not with the last name, right?
No. And before anyone has any silly ideas, don't go naming your kids something weird either.
Well, Rick, you made it very easy for the audience, but we will also make sure that Rick's contact information will be in the show notes as well, and we encourage you also to take advantage of some of the resources Rick provides, like his books and so on. And again, reach out to him, pick his, find out what some things that he shared here and how it can help you. And Rick, anything you would like to leave the audience here in the next 20 seconds, something to really say, that you can conclude everything that you talked about here today with us.
Sure. Now, as we close, I really want everybody to remember this one thought. You are not just a participant in this ever-changing world, but you are an architect shaping the course of your life, your career, and the world around you. And I encourage you all to embrace change and define it rather than just adapt and react to it. Be that catalyst in your own business as unusual world. The transformation always starts with you, and I'm eager to hear about your journey. So Chris, I really like to express my gratitude for letting me on your podcast and Twitter on and stuff. It's been a real fun conversation, and I really hope that your listeners have enjoyed it as much as I have.
Absolutely.
And to all you folks listening, I really appreciate your time and attention. But more importantly, I look forward to hearing from some of you, learning from some of you, your experiences, and perhaps sharing more in-depth future discussions. Thanks again, Chris. And to all
you, Rick. Appreciate you. And listeners, we want to thank you each and every week joining us here at Business Influencers. Again, we are committed in bringing in subject matter experts like Rick each and every week to help elevate you and your business into the next level in terms of influence, because influence empowers and encourages. It doesn't please and enable. Till then, everybody, have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next week at the same time. Take care.